Help Wanted, Security Breach, Ruin, Help Wanted 2, and Secret of the Secret of the Mimic, Steelwool Studios has been the name associated with FNAF for the past 7 years. Second to Scott Cawthon, of course. Despite its ups and downs, I think the studio has been pretty solid with upholding the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Help Wanted was essentially a soft reboot for the series, as it introduced new lore and characters while staying faithful to the source material. Security Breach, while being a monster of its own, reignited a lot of the community's love for the series while vastly increasing its reach to other people. Ruin is a very solid narrative experience, but does play it a bit too safe when you realize instead of improving, they completely took out everything potentially wrong with Security Breach to avoid their past mistakes instead of improving them. Help Wanted 2 is literally just more fun than Help Wanted. It does take a bit of the scare factor away, but overall, the gameplay is undeniably superior to its predecessor. In my opinion, I guess. Secret of the Mimic is probably the best balance of horror, gameplay, and story a free-roaming FNAF game has had in the whole franchise. Just speaking critically, of course, Security Breach still has my heart. And now brings us to the VR port, almost a year from Secret of the Mimic's release. A buggy but fine experience to those fortunate enough to have a PSVR 2, but only releasing on PSVR 2. There was no previous warning that it wouldn't be on PC, and there was barely any marketing for the thing. What went wrong? Hi, my internet alias is known as Gleus, but you can call me Gleus, and I want to discuss the state of Five Nights at Freddy's and what's going on with Steelwool Studios. This video is only meant to hopefully bring even more knowledge to the situation, and is in no way meant to be hateful towards Steelwool or Scott Cawthon in any way. Now that we have that sorted out, let's discuss the past of FNAF and when everything was released. FNAF 1 had just released and it was becoming an internet sensation. So, with its increased popularity, Scott decided to upload teasers for his upcoming games on scottgames.com. There you could consistently get teasers for next installments of the franchise. We were getting game after game after game, each accompanied by their own teasers to keep the community satiated. FNAF 2 all the way up till Security Breach received teasers on the site. Big or small, any teaser left the fandom theorizing what was to come. We didn't need some huge Super Bowl ad because the community was left with their discussions, which spread like wildfire. Eventually, we did get a slew of trailers leading up to Security Breach, most likely due to FNAF's deal with Sony. We had both the ScottGames.com teasers and multiple cinematic teasers leading up to Security Breach's launch to keep the discussions ablaze. We were eating good. The trailers for Security Breach were some of the most misleading pieces of marketing I had ever seen. The trailers teased Burn Trap, being able to roam around, and potential voice lines for the character, Vanessa having a scrapped voice line where she sounded genuinely worried for Gregory, and full areas being scrapped from the game that were present in the advertisements. After Security Breach's launch, Scott decided he wouldn't post teasers to ScottGames.com anymore, and to instead leave Steelwool with the full responsibility of the marketing. In May of 2022, Steelwool announced the first teaser toward the DLC to Security Breach. In May of 2023, Steelwool, about a year later, released the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's Ruin. The community ate it up like usual. That teaser is actually what made me decide I wanted to buy a PS5, so I could finally play the games instead of watching someone else enjoy them. Without my PlayStation, Ruin came out to high praise. The majority of the fandom absolutely loved it. Everyone was theorizing what the Mixus was, and whether or not Gregory was evil. Since the story had ended on a cliffhanger, everyone was only hungrier for more. Not even 2 months later, Steelwool attended PAX West, where they showcased a new game. It was a demo for Help Wanted 2 that was set to release only 4 months later. Maybe we'll see what happens to Cassie. When Help Wanted 2 released, not too many people were buying. It turns out the VR games don't sell as well as FNAF's flat games. Jump to August of 2024, it was genuinely one of the best times to be a FNAF fan. The 10th anniversary featured the release for Into the Pit, just an overall amazing game, the demo for 5 Laps at Freddy's, fan projects, and the first teaser for Secret of the Mimic. You know! Alongside these releases, Scott Cawthon collaborated with Dawko for an interview. With a ton of other things, Scott revealed that Steel Wool was working on another project, ahead of Secret of the Mimic. Then, there was a few months of silence from Steel Wool. No teasers, no trailers, nothing. Just an update for Help Wanted 2 that gave us a better idea as to what the upcoming project would be about. But the problem was, barely anyone noticed. Not a ton of people had Help Wanted 2, and Steel Wool never officially announced the update. So unless you were up to date on FNAF news or following FNAF YouTubers, you didn't hear about it. During a PlayStation State of Play, we finally got a trailer and release date for Secret of the Mimic. There were discussions, but honestly not enough to have anything notable come to mind. From my knowledge, we only got one main trailer before the game's release. The literal best piece of marketing for this game was... Not to mention, the game was developed with VR in mind and was released exclusively in flat mode. Here's a theory. Maybe they realized Help Wanted 2 wasn't selling too well, so they attempted to course correct the game into an enjoyable flat experience in an attempt to have the game sell better. Either way, Secret of the Mimic was out with no VR mode in sight. This brings us to... It's been almost a year since Secret of the Mimic released, and Steel Wool Studios has nothing to show for it. Now, a lot of people would say I'm being impatient, and I'd agree with them. However, there have been a ton of unfortunate factors to add to the already long wait. Firstly, back in late 2025, Leon Riskin, one of the main composers for the franchise, released his first of many cryptic teasers for a mystery project. In one of Dawko's charity live streams, Scott hinted at the next installment, saying, quote, "There is a sequel to something being worked on, by the way, not a 3, a 2, end quote. Last February, Leon Riskin released this teaser. The video contains a dilapidated environment full of assets used in both Security Breach and Ruin. On top of all this, the music playing in the video uses the motif found in Princess Quest. Everyone in the whole fanbase was convinced. This was our teaser. The wait was finally over. We can finally get a glimpse of what's to come and maybe even see what happened to Cassie. However, Leon realized he had made a grave mistake. The teasers weren't really for FNAF, but a fan project. Once the community heard the news, people were furious at the composer's lack of transparency. There was still hope. A new PlayStation State of Play was around the corner, and people were hoping, praying, that there would be something to announce, but there was nothing. The only thing the community got was a teaser for Secret of the Mimic VR port. The port came out with some previous speculation of a teaser, akin to the one we got in Help Wanted 2, but still, nothing. What the community was left with was a messy and buggy VR port that wasn't even made by Steel Wool. The company had outsourced the development to Devoted Studios. On release, the game had countless different bugs with the data diver. The Mimic wasn't even spawning in at times. Many people reported how they would get motion sickness due to the game's controls, and the beginning of the credits says, "Five Nights at Freddy's" by Scott Cawthon. This studio was also responsible for the Security Breach and Help Wanted ports to consoles. When discussing Security Breach, Devoted claimed, quote, "One of the new features in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach is the double jump option, which allows the player to not only jump higher, but also reach previously inaccessible areas. This newfound vertical mobility adds a whole new dimension to the gameplay, as players can now explore hidden nooks and crannies, uncovering secrets and finding alternative paths to progress through the game." End quote. You know, the double jump ability. That's funny. That's really funny. You got me there. That's so good. Oh man. Quick side tangent here. I think it would be really funny if someone modded in a double jump feature into Security Breach to make it accurate to Devoted's description. Because I think it would genuinely break the game. I mean, I think everyone knows this. It would break the game. The game would be broken. But it would be really funny. So if there is one, let me know. That'd be really cool to see. People speculate the article on Devoted's website is AI generated, and I kind of hope it was. If not AI generated, then who the heck wrote the article? This mistake could have easily been fact-checked with a mere Google search. It's not only this, the article features many screenshots from Security Breach that consist of Ennard, a fan design for Glamrock Bonnie, and a suggestive fan model for Toy Chica. Devoted Studios has been mismanaging their professional websites, at least the sections relating to FNAF, and have shown many inaccuracies regarding information about the games they've worked on. Now, you would think, after all this time, after having a game in development ahead of Secret of the Mimic, that we would finally have a glimpse into the future, but we still have nothing. Scott and Steel Wool have been developing a new game since before the interview. With that in mind, you realize that Scott and Steel Wool have been developing this game for at least 2 years at this point, but there's nothing to show for it. Many fans are fed up with the mismanagement. Five Nights at Freddy's is a multi-million-dollar franchise. Spanning from toys, movies, and games, the franchise is extremely successful, so why isn't it being treated like it? Secret of the Mimic received little to no marketing, which led to many fans of the franchise unaware of its release. FNAF isn't a small indie game anymore. It needs more marketing and transparency from the developers. Many people have started to doubt Steel Wool's competence as the developer for FNAF, saying things like Steel Wool needs to go and that they've shown they aren't capable of handling the franchise. People care so deeply about FNAF, and seeing how things have been handled recently of course has people upset. If Steel Wool wants to win back the community, they really should improve on a few things. The main source of Steel Wool's problems stem from their lack of communication. Help Wanted 2 update? I don't know what you're talking about. Will Secret of the Mimic VR be on PC? It will be on PSVR 2! That's not what I asked. YouTubers like Dawko, FNAF, and Astral Spiff all had to cancel their Secret of the Mimic VR streams because they didn't have a PSVR 2 and didn't know they needed one. Steel Wool only officially confirmed that VR wasn't going to come to PC that day until after the port had been released. These creators rely on having knowledge about when these games will be released because it is their job. They're expected to cover these titles when they release so that they can cover it as soon as possible. If Steel Wool keeps being stingy with their announcements, then the content creators that rely on these updates won't be able to cover their game when it comes out. If Steel Wool simply posted a previous statement before the game was released, which is the absolute bare minimum, all of this could have been easily avoided. Another thing, Devoted shouldn't be left to be the sole developer for anything. Steel Wool received the VR port from the company and saw how buggy it was. They tried to fix it, but needed to meet some sort of deadline, so they released it on PSVR 2 rather than waiting for the PC port to be ready. Now, Steel Wool has recently posted about how they aim to have better communication with the community, which is already a great start. All they have to do is keep it up. Even with their mishaps, Steel Wool has brought an amazing new era of games that modernize the franchise and are probably the biggest contributors to FNAF's recent success. Let's be honest, I don't think the franchise would have kept growing if the game stuck to their point-and-click gameplay, and Steel Wool Studios are the ones to thank for the switch-up. Now, what's next for the franchise? Well, there's definitely a game in development, but it really better be a sequel. After the cliffhanger in Ruin left us questioning Cassie's fate, we still don't have an answer due to the past 2 installments being prequels. One of the reasons we don't have any teasers for a future game could be due to the fact that Steel Wool doesn't want a repeat of Security Breach. They want to take their time, so that when they're ready for any sort of marketing, it will be honest to the game it's teasing and hopefully be more prominent. Will Steel Wool be able to show the community that they've improved? Or will their marketing continue to be unclear and misleading? Only time will tell. Thank you so much for watching till the end. It really means a lot to me. This is the first video that I've ever done like this, so I'll take any criticisms. Let me know if I should improve upon anything or anything that I need to change. If you want to further support me, you could follow me on Twitter or Pinterest. I'm working on an Instagram right now, but we'll see how long that takes. There you can find my art similar to the thumbnail of this video, which I made myself. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.